Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Hope you're doing well. And we are still a few days away from our final preseason game against the Cowboys. So we're still kind of in that limbo between thinking about the last game and thinking about the next game. And as I was doing that, my thoughts kept going back to one area of this team that I think is particularly interesting right now. It's the wide receiver spot. And this is an area of the team where we're pretty good at the top, and there's definitely good depth in here somewhere, but I don't know where. It's really hard to know where the actual good depth is, but I feel like it's in here somewhere. So let's talk about wide receiver for a little bit here and try to figure out how this might shake out and what the positives and the negatives could be concerning keeping certain players and letting other players go versus keeping those other players and letting the initial players go. I think you guys know what I mean, because this is going to be kind of confusing and there are multiple considerations to make. Now, we all know DK Metcalf is going to be here. Tyler Lockett is going to be here. I don't think I need to explain why. And Dwayne Eskridge is going to be here. Those three guys are locked in. And assuming Eskridge gets healthy, he is also probably your number 3 receiver, unless he is so far behind in picking up the offense that they can't. But he's going to be here regardless, so that's 3 spots. After that, I'm open to a lot of different things here. And it seems to me that there are 2 different, 3 categories that these receivers can get lumped into. The first category would be guys who have been around the block, guys who have been in the league a while, have generally speaking produced at least at an NFL level, and are bringing you some credible accomplishments. So Marquise Goodwin, Freddie Swain, and to a certain extent Penny Hart, they've been around the league for at least a little bit. They've produced, although Penny Hart, I mean, for as much as he's been here for a few years, he really hasn't produced that much, but he's played a decent amount. He's at least got value on special teams, so that's group 1. And then you have the second group of guys who haven't really had the chance to play yet. They've either just gotten here or they've been stuck behind other players, but there seems to be something interesting there. Guys like Fuller, Derek Young, Cade Johnson, Bo Melton. And then you have the guys with no chance, like J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. So trying to figure out how this team is going to make their decisions here is kind of difficult. And personally, and this is kind of echoing how I've generally felt about this team ever since the Wilson trade, I'd love to go for a youth movement. So you go Metcalf and Lockett and Eskridge as your top 3, and then let's say you carry another 3 receivers. Keep that in mind, by the way. You can carry 5 receivers, maybe 6, but probably not 7, right? You're probably not going to carry 7 receivers. So you're looking at carrying 6. So I would love to say, okay, Derek Young, Cade Johnson, Bo Melton, guys who have never played in the NFL before. I don't think Cade played any last year. Cade was in the league last year on our practice squad, but I don't believe he ever played. And 2 rookies. Okay. We're going to figure out which one of you guys is worth it. Cade, I think, played really well as a receiver in the preseason so far. Punt returns, different matter. But as a receiver, he's showing up. Bo Melton and Derek Young are showing positives and negatives. Hands not great, leaving something to be desired occasionally as blockers. But they've also made some plays, made some catches. Derek's gotten in the end zone. Bo Melton has some intriguing ability as a return man, I think. So I would love to go with that youth movement. However, at the same time, here's the thing. We didn't really see any of these depth receivers, guys like Derek Young, Bo Melton, Cade Johnson. You can throw Aaron Fuller and Kevin Cassis in there as well, maybe. Kevin Cassis or Kevin Cassis. I don't know how to pronounce it, but he's kind of the forgotten guy here. These guys are not doing a whole lot to separate themselves from the pack, right? They're not doing anything that indicates to this team that, like, oh, we're ready to go. We are ready to play a handful of snaps every game. We are ready to be the next man up in case an injury happens. So because of that, are you going to see this team decide instead, okay, you know what? We need to keep Goodwin. We need to keep Swain. Yeah, not that interesting long term. Not great players, but they produced. They've made plays. We know they can play in the NFL and not completely embarrass themselves. And unfortunately, while guys like Derek Young and Bo Melton are interesting, we don't yet have the evidence that they're not going to embarrass themselves when the season starts. So I wonder if that is the angle this team is going to go for when it comes to picking receivers. And the other consideration on the back of that is the practice squad. Every team gets to fill out their practice squad with players that don't make other teams' rosters, but if you release a player, if you waive a player, if you cut a player, every other team in the league gets an opportunity to pick them up on their 53-man, and you can only put them on their practice squad, on your practice squad rather, if they don't get picked up by anybody. So if we were to release a guy like Freddie Swain, and we'd be thinking to ourselves, okay, we want this guy on the practice squad, but then a team like, I don't know, a team like the Jets, a team like the Texans decides, hey, we want to take a flyer on that guy to be our 6th wide receiver. Then they get him, and we can't do anything about it. We chose to release him. He has a right to be on an active roster before we get to stash him on the practice squad. So, with that being said, we also have to look at it from that angle. Which of these guys is going to have a chance to leak through to the practice squad? Now, I personally don't think that Freddie Swain would, but I also wouldn't terribly miss Freddie Swain personally because I don't think he's anything special and nothing I would really miss. But you got to admit that he has produced in the NFL, and with our depth not proving themselves in the preseason, we might value that and not want to lose him. You look at a guy like a Cade Johnson, who was one of our most intriguing UDFAs last year. We were able to get lucky enough to have him slip through to our practice squad last year. But if he has another good preseason game this week against Dallas, maybe somebody picks him up if we let him go. Bo Melton and Derek Young were both drafted. So are they going to be able to get through to the practice squad? You figure guys like Aaron Fuller are going to get through, so you can let Aaron Fuller go and feel fairly comfortable you can get him back if you want him. Penny Hart, I kind of feel the same way about. I mean, we've had Penny Hart for a while now, and he's never done anything big in a regular season or postseason game, except maybe draw a pass interference call on Jalen Ramsey one time. But everybody else, I don't know. And then you have guys like Goodwin. Do you even want a guy like a Goodwin on your practice squad, a veteran, who will probably latch on somewhere else? Somebody else is probably going to pick him up. And do you even value having a guy like that on your practice squad when he's already on the wrong side of 30? So what are you going to be able to sneak through here is also a big consideration when deciding who your receivers are going to be going into the regular season. So multifaceted. So for me personally, I like the idea of going Derek Young, Cade Johnson, Bo Melton. Just go young, go with guys who you don't know. If they don't pan out, hey, it's okay. This season wasn't exactly going to be a showcase anyway, right? I've seen Freddie Swain. I have a pretty good idea of what his ceiling is as a player. It's not terrible, but I don't see anything there that's better than a number 4 receiver on a good day. There's no top 3 upside to Freddie Swain. So if you're looking at this and going, we need somebody who can be a genuine backup, somebody who can actually add value if somebody gets hurt, I don't think it's there. Goodwin, hey, great speedster, right? He adds value to the offense, but do we really have a team that's going to be able to capitalize on his skill set? I don't know. And Goodwin's missed most of training camp because of that injury. So the opportunities he's had to mesh with Gino and Drew didn't really happen. So I want to do that. My feeling is that we're going to keep Goodwin because we look at his production over his career, and it's not massive, but it's been pretty good. He's proven he can play in this league, and he does have a certifiable, super strong skill in his pure speed. So I do think we will keep Goodwin. I think we're going to keep Hart for special teams, and because we have this bizarre obsession with him. And then I feel like the last receiver spot is going to go to either Derek Young or Cade Johnson. Whoever we feel like is less likely to get poached off the waivers is going to be the one who gets let go, because we can get them back to the PS. So if I had to guess, and I could see it going so many different ways, I think Goodwin sticks, even though I don't really want him to, just because we need somebody proven at wide receiver 4 for the moment. I think Penny Hart stays, and then I'm going to say receiver 6 goes to Derek Young. Maybe Cade, but I'm going to say Derek Young. And then guys like Cade, Bo Melton, and Aaron Fuller end up on the practice squad, hopefully. Cade could get poached. Bo could get poached. Aaron Fuller probably not. Maybe we end up with our Sega Whiteside on the practice squad. I don't know how the league views him at this point. But that's my read. I do think we're going to let Freddie Swain go. But I think we are stuck with some of the old-timers for a little bit longer. All right, let me know what you think down below. I'm going to get out of here. Peace out, go Hawks. See you guys on Twitch later. And yeah, that's how I see the receivers shaking out.